So over the past year, lots of stuff has happened in my life. I've had a lot of questions from you guys. I've seen repeated over and over in the comments. I've sent out a call for questions and you guys gave me a ton of great ones. We're gonna head upstairs, answer all your questions. Let's get on up. In this video, we'll be talking about how much this cost me so far, how I'm paying for it, what's going on between me and Kat, and some other personal questions you guys have had for me, as well as a little bit about what's next for the channel after the renovation is done. All that and more coming up right now. So we'll start with a big one. Pink Roses 8078 on Instagram asks, how are you doing after your near-death experience? So first off, thank you to everyone who's been asking about it, checking in on me in comments. It means so much to me. For those of you that don't know what I'm even talking about, back in January, I had a pseudoaneurysm rupture in my abdomen. Long story short, I basically almost bled to death. Fortunately, the doctors found it in the nick of time and were able to patch it up and save my life. I had a follow-up checkup about a month ago. Everything looks great. The prognosis is 100% recovery, basically just back to life as normal as far as activities go. Ty F on YouTube asks, how much has everything cost so far and what would the rough cost be if you were to hire it all out? I have to admit, I am not the best accountant, so this may not be 100% accurate, but ballpark figure, I bought the building for $310,000 back in 2020. I've now probably spent somewhere around $350,000 to $380,000. We're pushing $700,000 into the building right now. As for what it would cost if I hired it out, well, that's hard to know for sure, but I would guess that by doing all the finishes myself and so on, I probably saved about $150,000 on this project. Now I gotta be honest, and you guys know I always try to be fully transparent. You gotta factor in the fact that I am a YouTuber. There's certain things, certain materials that I was provided for free because of the fact I'm a YouTuber. So I'd estimate that somewhere around maybe $50,000 of those costs are just the benefits of me having a YouTube channel. So I could say that maybe just on the labor alone though, I'd probably saved about $100,000. Now as to cost, there's a couple other related questions folks had. First one from Mirko MLG on Instagram is, what is the value of the property now? The truth is, I don't know. But I can tell you that I will find out soon, because as soon as we finish the renovation and have the final inspection, I'll be able to convert the bridge construction loan that I took out to finance part of the renovation into a home mortgage. And when I do that, they will have to get an appraiser in here, and I will be sure to share that information with all of you so we can know if I actually made money on this whole endeavor. Next question is related to money. How are you funding the abandoned building project? And did this guy have a trust fund or something?
These trust fund YouTube.
I'll deal with that one in a second, but first up, funding for the building. As many of you know, I spent 14 years working as a patent attorney and tried to always live off about half of what I make. I'd saved up enough that I was able to buy the building for $310,000 in cash and have some money set aside in savings to help pay for the renovation. I also took out a $250,000 construction bridge loan. This just means that I had essentially an equity line of credit and I could write checks from that account to pay for parts of the renovation. That loan is a very short-term loan, usually 6 months or a year. I've had to extend it a number of times because this has dragged on for so long. I pay that loan off in full once construction is done by taking out a standard residential mortgage, and the funds from that will then go to pay off the construction loan. As for the trust fund question, no, I haven't paid for any of this with the trust fund. My dad's a college professor. They have helped provide me with a great life and great education, but are by no means rolling in money. The only trust fund in my name comes from my parents' decision to put $1,000 down into a fund when I was born. That is probably worth about $35,000 now. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it's a great lesson for any of you who are parents out there. If you can find that little bit that doesn't seem like a lot to put down now, by the time your kids are 18 or college age, it will be a much larger amount. I think this is where we put the disclaimer that I'm not a financial advisor and I shouldn't be giving financial advice and all that stuff. Next up, Abraham Lopez asks, if you had to do the entire renovation again, what would you do differently? I think the biggest thing I would do differently is to try and do more work before I started moving my stuff in. If you guys go way back, I didn't actually move in and live in the building for about a year, but I did move all my stuff over here, brought all my tools over because I wanted to get the workshop up and running. Now, right now, I'm having to put drywall on the ceiling in the workshop, which meant 3 or 4 days where cameraman Cam and I were literally just trying to move everything we could out of the workshop so the drywall guys could get in there and do the ceiling. Maybe even bigger is that awful ceiling in the garage, which is such an eyesore. And when I eventually do it, it's just gonna be a huge pain to try to get everything out of the garage so that we can access and do the ceiling in a semi-efficient manner. And on that note, I moved into the building once I had a bedroom and a bathroom functional. Everything else was still very much under construction, not having a kitchen, no laundry. It just made every other part of my life more difficult and challenging to basically be squatting in a building that was still 70% unfinished. So if anyone else is doing a renovation, even a kitchen renovation project at home, I just highly recommend that you find a place to stay while that major renovation is going on, because living through the dust and the construction, I just don't wish that on anyone. So while we're looking back on things, I want to answer another question I got a lot, which is, was the whole process worth it? And would I do it again? It was definitely scary to quit a corporate job, a career that I'd put 14 years in and law school and was receiving a good paycheck from. I feel like it was something that I just had to do. I would have looked back and regret if I didn't take that jump. There really has never been any time where I actually thought to myself, man, I would just rather be back at my desk. Going back to the renovation specific questions, we're gonna try to do a rapid fire round to answer a bunch of questions that you guys had. After finishing the inside renovation of the building, do you also plan to do any fixing at the exterior house? Yes, I plan to fully redo the front door, which is in miserable shape right now. And I also wanna do the facade because we've still got signs from the old business. I'm even thinking that painting the bricks matte black on the front would look very cool. As a cable guy in Canada, I'd love to see what you did for your cable and data. I actually did record some footage. I ran Ethernet to multiple points throughout the house so I could set up a mesh network and have Ethernet to a server where we keep our media files, and have wired Ethernet access from the studio and other locations to a server where we keep all the footage from my past videos. When you say finished with the renovation, can you define that? So when I say finished right now, what I'm referring to is completing everything that I need to do in order to pass my final inspection. Essentially, everything that's needed to convert this upstairs space on the second floor into a residential space and to separate, as required by code, the residential area from the commercial space so that I can be rezoned properly as a mixed-use commercial building. When and where are you going to install a secret passageway? We have been kicking around ideas for hidden areas or secret openings, secret passageways. We got a few brewing, so just stay tuned. It's definitely a down the road project, definitely after I pass inspection. Do you have any other people lined up to paint murals in your shop? As of now, no, but I definitely want to do that. Again, as we're picking up steam, making the final push to finish everything for final inspection, I haven't had time to focus on that or coordinate folks to come in for murals. If you guys know anyone, particularly other YouTubers who you think would be cool, just let me know who you think. I'll try to contact them. It would be tons of fun to collaborate with them. I just need to get to the point where I can. Jacob Barney 13 asks, are you working part-time or is the channel your full-time job? Yes, the channel and the building is 100% my full-time job. So over the last 2 years, I'd say I've been averaging 70 to 80 hours a week working on renovation, content, the channel, all the stuff that goes along with making YouTube a legitimate business. I also got a lot of questions just relating to me and my background, how I ended up here. So I think this would be a good time to address those. Sportaholic asks, what made you leave your job as a lawyer and start up YouTube? I liked that job for a long time, but once I started making things and working with my hands and making videos to share with everyone, I just felt like I was throwing my life away every minute that I was sitting at that desk and not doing the thing that I really wanted to be doing, which also could make a living. It just got to a point where I knew inside of me that I had something I wanted to share with the world. I wanted to make an impact through the videos I was making. I would have gone crazy and regretted it forever if I didn't take that leap of faith. And along those lines, John Rod 1700 asks, what advice do you have for someone who wants to quit their job and follow their dreams? I think the best advice I can give is that there will be a point where you just have to make the leap of faith. It's never gonna be totally clear-cut that you can just have zero risk when you do it. But on the flip side, it is something you should think about and should plan for. And that might mean saving up for a long time, making cutbacks in other areas. I had partners of mine in the law firm that were buying Porsches, buying much bigger houses than I had, and basically ramping up all their costs such that it would make it hard for them to make less money. Now, granted, everyone's situation is different. I'm fully understanding that if you have kids, if you have a family to support, that will make it harder, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just a matter of planning, trying to save up money, and figuring out how to make it work. So I actually did sponsor videos while I was still working as an attorney as a proof of concept that I could do this full time, to understand how I would make money and so on before I took that leap of faith. Sam Herman asked, did I attend college? And if so, what did I major in and why? I went to college at Rice University in Texas and law school here at Northwestern in Chicago. So majors in college, I did electrical engineering and then had a second degree in economics. Now as to why for those majors, honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm not using them today. I think I just chose them because I heard the electrical engineering was a challenging major and could make good money. And so randomly said, that's what I'll do. In hindsight, I probably would have done something different, but at the end of the day, I'm happy I ended up where I'm at. So no real regrets there. And another interesting fact, the internship I had while I was in college was actually at Enron, which you guys might have heard of.
Just last week, Enron captivated Wall Street.
Enron declared bankruptcy. Enron shareholders are suing. Enron announced massive financial restatements.
Don't hate me, I had nothing to do with any of the major decisions there. Varen Aranki asks, how do you look without a beard? Doesn't your beard itch while working? So I've never really had it itch or bother me. And as for how I look without it, well, check out any of my first 40 videos and you will see. Richard Wiley says, you have great taste in background music. How did that come to be? What do you listen to in your personal life? What do you listen to growing up? And what role did music play in your life? Music has played a huge role in my life. In second grade, I really wanted to start playing guitar. I was a fan of all the 80s hair bands, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi. But my parents said that I had to prove that I could stick with a musical instrument that didn't cost any money before they would buy me a guitar. So my parents had a piano in the house, and if I stuck with piano and took lessons and played for 2 years, then they would get me a guitar. So after 2 years of piano, in fourth grade, I got my first guitar, which was this hideous lime green thing. So hideous, it's kind of cool. And just became obsessed with playing guitar all through middle school and in high school. I played in bands of all types, everything from the 90s rap rock genres to sort of Dave Matthews type jam bands. And once I started working here, I didn't have enough time for band practices and coordinating that, but I actually started DJing and played deep house and house music in local Chicago clubs to kind of scratch that musical itch. So as you can guess, I have musical tastes that are all over the place. Literally probably every genre of music, just depends on my mood. I always say that if somebody likes music and you don't, it's not that it's bad music, it's just you don't understand the emotions that that music is trying to convey yet. Now it's time for another rapid fire round of some fun questions you guys have. Nick Pimbrough asked, can you do a kickflip? Okay, I gotta call you out a little, Nick. I've done a kickflip in at least 2 of my videos. So here's the trivia. Let's see if other folks can remember which videos I did a kickflip in. Leave a comment with your guess. How dangerous is it to live in Chicago? National media says it's bad. It is no more dangerous than any other big city to live in. For those of you that don't live in cities, you'll kind of understand that when there are areas that are dangerous, they tend to be fairly self-contained. The area I'm in is very safe, diverse area. We've got lots of immigrants from North Africa, from Morocco, as well as a large Mexican community here, and a lot of families. So I love it because it's a super diverse area full of hardworking folks. I can go running at night. I don't worry about it. There's a park down the street that's awesome, and I know I just kind of went on a tangent there, but it does kind of bother me that we get this reputation of Chicago just being a whole war zone. I moved here in 2003. I've been here almost 20 years, and knock on wood, I have never witnessed any violent crime in the city. How tall are you? My driver's license says 6 feet, and yeah, pretty close. With my work boots on, I'm definitely over 6 feet. Do you miss driving a manual transmission car? I miss that little go-kart, but I would never go back to it given how much more convenient having a truck makes my life. Gray Element says, how old are you? Okay, we're getting a little personal, but I am 43 years old.
Seriously, how old?
Turning 44 very soon.
You're only as young as you feel.
My boy, Cowdog Craftworks asks, do you use Manscaped trimmer on your beard too, or nah? I'm gonna pass. Tribble001 asks, why do you call me Kevin? SM Fred 7 says, who is your favorite new kid? I gotta say it, I really respect Marky Mark and all that he's doing with entrepreneurial stuff right now. And I don't even know where the other new kids are right now. So that's kind of the obvious choice for me. And by the way, SM Fred is actually the bass player for my high school band. So little tangent, Seth, punk rocker, bass player in my band, is now a managing partner at a large law firm in San Francisco. So I think we did pretty well coming from a little band in University City, Missouri. Pineapple on pizza, controversial. I actually kind of like it. Correct way to hang toilet paper, under or over. So here's a little secret which might be controversial in its own right. If you watch my videos, you'll see that I actually will go over in one video and under the next video whenever I'm doing bathroom stuff, just so I give everyone a little bit of love or give them something to hate if you're a glass half empty type of person. Favorite restaurant in Chicago. A favorite overall is hard to do, but I want to show you one of the hidden gems that I love in my neighborhood. You guys have been asking to see a little more of the neighborhood. So real quick, I'm going to throw on my ARIAT work boots while we walk over to grab some lunch. If you're looking for the perfect holiday gift for yourself or anyone who works hard, check out channel sponsor ARIAT Works Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales via the links in the description below. They make amazing and stylish work gear, and when you buy from ARIAT Work, you also are supporting the channel. This is Tim's Grill, neighborhood favorite. We got to pick up Tim's Burger, tacos. Oh, can I get a fountain Coke? Oh. Yeah, definitely. Got to go with the fountain drink. I don't know why, it just tastes better. Thank you. Have a good one. I got to get a tip. Can't forget the tip.
That's what she said.
Boom. Let me just drop this off. Say no to straw, folks. Say no to straws. Okay. We've got the salad that I will eat later this evening. That's my dinner because I gotta balance out the hamburger I'm about to eat. I think this is the best burger you can get for under $10 in Chicago. Look at that. Your eggs, your bacon, got some sauce. They got some fresh jalapenos on there. I'm gonna eat and see you guys back at the building. So now it's time to talk about two things that you guys have been asking about that are definitely of personal nature. And I know people will comment that I don't owe anyone or have to disclose anything, but I don't think that's 100% accurate. I definitely do owe you guys something because without you guys watching, I wouldn't have the sponsors, I wouldn't have YouTube ad revenue, I wouldn't be able to make a living doing this. So as I always say, I love you, I'm grateful, and I feel like when you guys have told me over and over, you do want to know something about my life, I do feel like there is a bit of an obligation to fill you in, bring you guys along for the ride. So you guys have been asking about Cat and the Karma Cat. And start with the Karma Cat because that is honestly one of the most difficult things I've had to deal with this year. Back in January 4th, I lost Karma after 18 years with him. So he, just been with me through everything, and I still obviously have a lot of trouble talking about it. But yeah, unfortunately, he had a blood clot that got lodged in his brain, and I had no choice but to let him pass on to better things. And I will be doing a video in his memory, a build in his memory soon, and I'm sure that will be an emotional one. I think it may be the next project I do, so definitely keep an eye out for that. I think that's going to be a special one for me. So next up, Cat with the K. A lot of you guys have been asking where she has been. You haven't seen her in the videos recently. When it happened, I wasn't sure if I really needed to talk about it. Because you guys have been asking, I feel like I should just fill you in. We have broken up. We've gone our separate ways. We're still friends. We're friendly with each other. I've talked to her the other day. There's certainly even a possibility of us collaborating on some projects down the road, but we are not together anymore. And I know you guys liked Kat. She's a great person. She's fun. And if you do want to see more of her, which I definitely think you should, I encourage you to do, head over to her channel, Kat Liebens Art. She's doing some awesome art projects over there and generally just sharing some fun, good times. So definitely hit up the link in the description and go subscribe to Kat's channel down there. So the last thing, which is a biggie, and a lot of you have asked about this, what's next for the channel when the building is done? As we talked about earlier, saying it's finished, getting the permits doesn't really mean there aren't more projects related to the building that need to be done. However, first things first, I probably am gonna take a little bit of a break. This process has been absolutely exhausting, and I think a little bit of a break might be a good thing to help me go and brainstorm the next big project. And I'm not talking a long time, maybe a month. Go do some snowboarding, go do some scuba diving, might even make some videos about scuba diving for fun on a second channel. But I think that some time away will kind of make me miss the workshop and get back in there raring to go. Long term, I definitely do plan to do some more renovation projects. But after this project, I don't want to do just a run-of-the-mill, let's buy an apartment and renovate it, let's just buy a regular house, renovate that. I want to do something bigger and more interesting for all of you. I've got a few ideas. I don't want to say too much right now because everything is so preliminary. As far as you guys who are fans of the renovation content, those long series, I definitely think we'll be doing more of that with another cool piece of property in the future. A lot of you also asked about the old school industrial projects. Those of you who've been following the renovation may not know, but my channel started really being about designing and building really cool pieces of furniture. And I really enjoy the design aspect of coming up with unique and beautiful things. So I definitely think I will be getting back to some videos like that in the future. A lot of those may be building out furniture that I need to furnish this building. So in some sense, that will be a continuation of the renovation. I know I got to build some beds for the bedroom. We got to build out the whole YouTube studio in the back. There's just tons of projects. I have a hard time buying really any furniture knowing that I've got this awesome workshop, and I think I can make something way cooler than the stuff I could buy. I also have got some questions about the dream roof deck, which I've mentioned a number of times. I still want to do that. The roof deck right now that we've got is actually pretty nice for using, so that might be pushed off a little further. So one other idea that I'm kicking around and I'll share with you is that I would actually really like to get a dog. I don't have a yard. Building a suburban yard on top of my roof with grassy areas for a dog, I think could be a really fun project. Let me know what you think of that in the comments, since that is something that we might do sooner rather than later. So to sum up in big picture on the future plans, is the shorter term, I may be taking a short break to refresh myself and then doing other projects for the building, like furniture, and building out the whole workshop and garage downstairs. So the finishes in those spaces are on par with what we've done up here. And then ultimately, while I'm doing that, I'll be planning and trying to figure out the next sort of mega project that we're going to be taking on. Probably buying another property or something like that. So I think there's lots of things to get excited about. As always, I'm grateful that you guys have stuck along for this journey. I hope as I move and evolve and grow that you guys will stick with me, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. That's it for this time, and I'll see you guys next time.